Hey everyone, welcome to today's Program Yourself Thin podcast. Today we're talking about the perfect weight loss plan. What is the perfect weight loss plan and how can you create it? Well, it's not diets right off the bat. Why isn't it diets? Because diets aren't custom made for you, first off the bat, right? So it's like a diet is basically going to tell you what to do based on someone's philosophy, belief, likes, dislikes, whatever. But it ain't built for you. It's not built for your lifestyle, your preferences, your likes, your dislikes, all the rest of it. So the beginning of creating the perfect weight loss plan is to realize that it's got to be a one size fits one plan because you are a unique person with unique likes, dislikes, genetics, lifestyles, all these different factors. And so whatever plan's going to work for you is probably going to be a very unique plan. And if you go into it with that understanding, you're going to be much better off because simply, oops, run out of sound here. I'll have to go with that. Because if you start to, second, there it is. And there we go again. So yeah, if you're building the plan right from the beginning around who you are, it is going to get you much better results because you're going to look to see what serves you best, which brings us to point number two of creating the perfect weight loss plan. That you cannot base your weight loss plan. You can't measure your weight loss plan purely on how much weight you lose and how quickly you lose it. I know that sounds strange, right? Because when it comes to a weight loss plan, the only criteria we have is how fast I'm losing weight and for how quickly I was able to make it happen. And so you need to take a step back from that, okay? Because the fastest way to lose weight is the most extreme way. There's no exceptions around this, right? The fastest way to lose weight is probably to just completely shut your mouth. No more food or liquid going in there. That's probably the fastest weight you can lose. However, it's also the shortest lasting weight loss strategy. You're not going to be able to do that for very long because you're going to have to eat or drink at some point. Okay. And so I use as an example, but keto's not that far away from that for most people. Intermittent fasting, tracking calories, eating 1,000 calories a day. All of these things have a very, very short lifespan because they don't really work for you in your life. And so when you're creating the perfect weight loss plan, we also got to take into account how it feels to live that plan, to follow that plan. And if it makes you absolutely miserable and to dread it, then it is not the perfect weight loss plan, even if you lose lots of weight. Again, if you did a dry fast and lost lots of weight, I'm not celebrating it because at some point you're going to have to eat. It's just a temporary moment in time when you're acting crazy and getting short-term crazy results that you're ultimately going to lose when you start living normal. And so the perfect weight loss plan is built around you, and it takes into account how it feels to live this plan. And again, once you start to recognize this as a core criteria beyond just how quickly you can lose weight, to look at how comfortably and easily can I lose weight. And when you start to approach it with these two ideas in mind of making it personal for me and making it as easy and comfortable as I possibly can, now you're on the right path. Because as you keep walking this path of customizing it to your situation, your personality, your reality you live in, and you start to aim yourself at what's the easiest, most comfortable way for me to do this, now you're on a path that lasts. And that's where the magic really shows up with the perfect weight loss plan, is that now each and every day you're learning and growing and evolving and adding to your plan and your strategy how to get to your goal weight and then stay there. And that is the big secret, because typically when you're approaching weight loss, you're just trying to lose it as quick as you possibly can, and you can't keep that up. And so when you start to build your plan around you, you give yourself the time and the energy and the space to figure out what works best for you, and you aim at what's easiest and most comfortable for you to do. This is how you create the forever plan for yourself. And I really want you to take a second and think about this, because again, so often, as soon as we think about weight loss, we think about pouring ourselves into some diet that already exists. It's not built for us. It's miserable. It's overwhelming. It's stressful. And we wonder why we don't stick with it long term. Okay. And when you look at it that way, hopefully the answer is obvious. So the alternative is to build this around you and to figure out the easiest, most comfortable ways for you to change your behavior so that you can, again, lose the weight and then ultimately live there. So I hope you enjoy this. If you want to go deeper into this process, please click the link in my bio. Go get the free hypnosis session I give you, watch the training video I made for you, and read the emails I send. They're all going to help you out. And yeah, realize there's a better way to do this than dieting. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them and I will get to them. I'm a little bit late today. Usually I'm here between 12 and 12:30, but today we're an hour late. Chalanga says, how do we control overeating? That's a good question. I don't think controlling overeating is the real way we want to frame it, though. Meaning that I think that when it comes to overeating, we want to look at it as a pattern, right? It's a process that we overeat regularly, and you overeat in different ways. Okay. So what I mean by that is that you may overeat, at dinners. You might overeat when you go to social situations. You might overeat at night when you're on the sofa watching TV. So you have different overeating patterns in your life. And I think it's important to look at those patterns individually. When I say I'm an overeater, right? That's so big and vague, it's hard to get a handle on it. And when we make big and vague statements like, well, I'm an overeater, the solution is just as big and vague. Well, I'm going to stop overeating. What's that mean? You know, and once you start breaking it down into patterns, you're going to realize that you've got different kind of patterns going on, that you're doing a lot on autopilot. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Your overeating, I guarantee you, it runs in patterns. There are specific situations where you're doing your overeating. Most likely, and again, most people are like this. Most people aren't overeating at breakfast every day. They're not overeating, in between breakfast and lunch, So again, not that there aren't those people, there are, but for most people, there's specific patterns going on. And if you start looking at the patterns and start to understand it, then you can come up with real solutions and strategies to it. So for example, someone who's grazing in the afternoon at work versus someone who's overeating at night in front of the TV on the sofa, those are two different patterns, and those patterns are triggered by two different things. So we're not going to have the same solution in each of them. We want to customize our strategies and solutions for the specific situation. So for example, if it's, at work and 2:00, I get up to the vending machine, go get cookies usually, and I'm struggling with that. I want to start to look at that situation because, the answer there may be, maybe instead of going to the vending machine, I'll bring an apple with me today and I will go outside, sit on the bench, sit outside in the sun and eat an apple. I'm just making something up, but that solution is contextually dependent, So again, what I would start to do if you're an overeater is I'd start to break down your overeating patterns, because you're probably not overeating all the time. And even if you are, I want to know the situations where you're overeating the most. Again, if we have big, giant, vague descriptions of our problem, our brain's going to come up with big, giant, vague solutions to the problem, so be careful of that. Excuse me. So yeah, anyone else any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm phlegmy here. I ate a little bit before I got on the podcast, which is unusual for me. Yeah, you're welcome, Chalanga. Again, but the idea, like, what do most people do when they're overeating? What they're looking to do to change it is they're just going to try and stop themselves. And it's like, what you're really asking in that situation is literally impossible. The idea that you're just going to, it's estimated we make over 200 food decisions a day. And so the idea is that you're just going to, 200 times a day, you're just going to make a different decision all the time. It's like the idea of that is kind of crazy. So again, when we break things down into pieces, it's a lot easier to figure out what the strategies and solutions are that help them are, and I find a lot of people don't do that. Again, dieting really operates in big, giant, vague answers and solutions. I mean, to the point that even most diets are built around like one thing. So the idea, like, you're just going to stop eating carbs to lose weight, or you're just going to stop eating for 16 hours a day to lose weight. These ideas are so big and vague, the chances of them working are very small. And again, diets don't work statistically at all. So it's not a mystery though. I would say that. The mystery is that how there's not a different solution out there, you know what I mean, of how to approach your weight and how to live at the weight you want to live at. That's kind of the big mystery, but here we are, 2025. It's a time of mystery, I suppose. Anyways. As says, I overeat when I don't stick to the foods planned for. I overeat when I don't stick to the foods planned for. I would flip that around. I bet you overeat when you've got foods planned for yourself in certain situations. So I bet what happens is, maybe breakfast, you got foods planned and you eat those fine enough. But then when it starts getting to lunch or dinner or other things, is you got foods planned and you're planning on eating them. And then as it get closer, you say, I don't want to eat that. I don't want the salad. So I bet that's probably a better description of how you overeat, and so how do you deal with that? It's, again, you got to break it down. If you're an overeater and you're just gonna, okay, so I'll give you an example of what I mean. You could say, I'm an overeater. I overeat every meal, Jim. I always overeat. Okay, great. Well, here is a meal plan for you. It's every meal for your week planned. Here it is. Here you go. Here's your list. Just eat these. You'll be fine. Now, dieters are going to think like, oh, great, perfect. I got it figured out. I'm going to look at that and say, you don't got shit figured out. You ain't going to stick to that plan. Listen, folks, knowing what to eat is not your problem. Knowing what to eat and what not to eat is not your core problem. You know that, right? The core problem you have is that you know what to eat and what not to eat, but you can't get yourself to follow that wisdom. So again, planning to eat something is about 5% of the process. Getting yourself to actually consume those foods regularly is the other 95%. And that's the part no one ever shows you. Every diet's just telling you what to do. And then it's up to you to figure out how to get yourself to do it, which you try and use willpower just to force yourself to do it. And your brain's not built to use willpower all day and night, So yeah, anyways. But most of the answers, in my opinion, kind of flow from looking at your challenges a little differently. Shalanga says that's true. Yeah, it is true. And so, when we start to look at things more accurately, the better questions we ask, the better solutions we come up with. And so a lot of times when it comes to weight loss, it's so much of it's mindset. I mean, a lot of it's eating too. It's not just mindset. Your mindset's a big component of it. And in Program Yourself, then we have the goal weight pyramid: mindset, lifestyle, eating. And so they're all, I don't want to say they're equally important, but they're all important in their own way. And, but when most dieters are struggling with something, you say it's overeating, or I love sweets, or I can't stop eating this, or whatever, however you define your problem, right? Why are you overweight? Whatever answer you come up with to that question, usually you're thinking about it wrong. I'm just here to tell you. And because, now, by the way, it's not your fault that you think of it wrong. You've been raised in a culture that has pumped diets into your brain your entire life. So it's not a surprise that you think like a dieter, but the answer, in my opinion, is to start changing how you think. You can't just think the same way and then just get totally new results, as far as I know. You would have to transform your mindset into that of a thin, healthy person if you're ever going to have the chance to live at your goal weight. All right. It's just something to keep in mind. But if anyone's got any specific challenges, feel free to ask them. Yeah. Same times we snack. Yeah, exactly. Right. So, I mean, you snack at the same times again, your behaviors, folks, are very pattern oriented. I'm not saying you do everything exactly in a pattern. I know there's some spontaneous stuff you do, but the majority of your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are running on autopilot, and they're running in pattern oriented ways. You're not eating brand new foods every single day. You're not eating brand new amounts of food. You eat the same volume of food every day. You pretty much eat the same foods day to day, week to week, for breakfast, lunch, dinner. I mean, again, it's not always brand new foods you're eating. No one does that. Okay. It's very pattern oriented. And so again, Program Yourself then is really built on the idea that your subconscious mind, the part of you that runs all your automated thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, that's the part of you that's controlling your weight. It's not the part of you that knows what you should do and what shouldn't do and where your willpower is at. That's your conscious mind. And to prove that point, if you were a cyborg, right? And you could just type in what you were going to eat all day, and then you were a cyborg, so you just did it. If that was your situation, you wouldn't have any problem losing weight. The problem is the knowledge of food for most people. The biggest problem is the knowledge of how to run their mind. And so you can know what you should and shouldn't eat, but what's it going to matter if you can't influence your behavior? Which is really, again, where dieting gets extra dark, because not only does it not work, on top of that, it's built in a way where you blame yourself for it not working. Even though dieting doesn't work for anyone, people are still walking around like they're broken because dieting doesn't work for them. Dieting has an estimated 95% failure rate to help people lose weight long term. So I know you think you're the one who's going to be the one who's going to succeed with it, but I don't know why. I don't know why. It doesn't work for anyone. Most importantly, it doesn't work for you. And it doesn't work for you because it's not a real, genuine solution to your challenge and to your situation. What's up, John? John says, thanks for being the real deal. When you publish your book, that will be your message to the world. Yes, thank you. That's true. Speaking of books, I got my workbook all fixed up. So my workbook is off to the printers, and I can't wait to show it all to you. It's really exciting. So that's kind of a book. I mean, it's 144 pages. Things no joke. This book, I was thinking, I'm like, I don't even consider it a book. I consider it a workbook. So, I mean, you really need to be in the program to really get the full value out of it. But I did also write the book, the workbook, so that it is kind of it's self-contained too. So if you just went through the workbook, it's amazingly powerful too. It's meant to be used with the program though, as well, and the extra trainings and extra things that go in there. But boy, I was thinking about it. So it's weird having this whole thing. It's so sick. And I'm like, man, it's like the 10 Commandments of weight loss. It's just like this magical document from up on high. It's so good. So I can't wait to show it all to you. It really looks cool. And it is cool. It's got great information in there. So it's kind of fun. Shalinga says, everything that you say is so helpful for me every time. Well, thank you. Yeah. I help lots of people with this because, again, I come at this from a different angle, and weight loss is just one of those things that you've been conditioned to think the wrong stuff for so long and so completely that it's hard to just see outside of your own thoughts and ideas. Weight loss is like that at this point. And so, I have the benefit. I've dedicated my life to this. I've been working on this for over 30 years personally, over 20 years professionally, done over 6,000 private weight loss sessions. I mean, this is what I do. And it's really fun work in the sense that, well, it's obviously very rewarding, because when you help people lose weight and get control of themselves and live as their best self, that's fulfilling for obvious reasons. But the other thing I like about it, just doing even this podcast, is that I know so many smart, good people feel so stuck when it comes to their weight. And my biggest message is that the main reason you're stuck is because you have not learned how to live at your goal weight. You've never learned a real system. You've been taught dieting, in your whole life. And dieting is the opposite of a plan that would help you live at your goal weight, ironically. Dieting really is like the most, I think it's one of the biggest psychological operations ever pulled off on a population of people. And I think dieting is one of the core reasons why you struggle with weight loss so much. Dieting really is the mindset of an overweight person. And I know that sounds strange, but I promise you it is. I mean, thin and healthy people aren't dieting, So dieting really is the mindset of an overweight person. And the quicker you ditch it and replace it with something else, the better. And so that's my main message to you all the time, is that, again, it really technically is not your fault in the sense that you've not learned how to do this, Yeah, Chalinga says exactly how I feel. Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, my main client, right? If I had to give my client avatar to you, it is a woman who is an overthinker, perfectionistic in that level, action taker, tried a ton of diets, listen to the podcast, read stuff, give it a lot of effort and time, but never get the results you want. And again, when you do that for long enough, it's natural to start thinking, well, the problem must be me. I've tried all the diets. The problem must be me. But I'm here to tell you that no, the problem is that you haven't learned how to think like a thin, healthy person. And to prove the point, just to drive the point home of how you think like a dieter, it's like every diet's the same. You say, well, okay, how's veganism and carnivore the same? Because they're the same. How's Mediterranean and Weight Watchers the same? How's intermittent fasting and low fat diets the same? Right? How are they the same? Because they're exactly the same. And how they're exactly the same is the mindset you use to approach any of those diets. So it doesn't matter what the philosophy or strategy of the diet is. What really matters is you're going to approach it like a dieter. And so regardless if you're doing a carnivore, vegan, intermittent, low fast, Weight Watchers, whatever plan you choose, you're going to jump into it 100% on Monday. You jump into 100% doing everything perfectly and everything right. And you expect to stick with that plan until you lose the weight. And it's a plan made in fantasy land. It really has very little to do with reality. And, once you're taught a real strategy for, again, not only how to eat, and that is important, but more importantly, how to think. How do you think like a thin, healthy person? How do you create the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of a thin, healthy person? And that is the missing piece of your weight loss journey. You've never learned those things. And that's what leads to people saying the most ignorant shit ever, which is that, Jim, I know what I need to do. I just need to get myself to do it. That's the dumbest shit. So I would just suggest all you dieters, stop saying that. You don't know what to do. You know what to do in the sense that someone who's never played the piano knows how to play the piano when they say, well, yeah, it's easy. You just hit the right keys in the right order at the right time and you got music. It's not that hard. It's not that deep. It's not that hard. All you do is you're hitting the keys in the right order in the right times. And there you go. I mean, it's easy. That's what a dieter is like, sounds like to me. It's like, oh yeah, well, I mean, yeah, the most basic explanation of what we're doing. Yeah, sure. That's accurate, I guess. But in the reality of, can you sit down and play me a song with your Mr. Wizard? Can you sit? Oh, wow, you really figured it out. Can you play me a song now? Well, I can't play you a song, but I know how to do it. No, you don't. If you can't do it, you don't know how to do it. If you're not at your goal weight, you don't know how to be at your goal weight. Simple as that. I know how to be at my goal weight, and I'm at my goal weight. And that's why I talk about it, because I know how to do it. And I share with you because I want you to be able to do it. My goal is to help as many people as possible live at their goal weight. So, but the first thing you got to recognize, you don't fucking know. You don't know. Don't tell me you know. You know how to motivate yourself? Do you know how to change your identity and self-image into that of a thin, healthy person? Do you know how to deal with your habits strategically? Do you know how to deal with your emotions without food? Do you know how to literally think like a thin, healthy person? Do you know how to maintain? Do you know how to bounce back from setbacks? Do you know how to deal with stressful times of life? Do you? I know you don't. And so it's like, no, you don't know. You don't know what to do. I see Allison says, did you look in a Wild Fit? I didn't. No, it's funny. I saw it today. I think I just deleted it, but I didn't really look into it too much. Maybe I'll look into it. There's too many people on today. So let's take a real quick look. A little bit more of a detailed look. A revolutionary health education and coaching company. Well, I like all that. I like education and coaching for sure. A Wild Fit diet emphasizes meat, seafood, and non-starchy vegetables. Allows for fruit and dairy on occasion. Eliminates grains entirely. Dim, 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 dim. Yeah, I don't know. Wild diet. I get it. I don't like, I didn't realize that. So yeah. So I mean, we're basically talking about a keto-esque diet, basically. I don't believe in keto. Listen, folks, I'll take this to the bank. You're not ever going to convince me that the healthiest countries on the planet now and forever have always been high carb, low protein diets. So you'll never convince me that's not the case. So, if you look at the blue zones, the top 5 countries they go to are all high carb, low protein diets. And they're all the healthiest places. And I say to you, okay, where you show me the population you're modeling who has a high protein, low carb diet that's thriving health wise. What population are you pointing at? The Hamda, the Hamda tribe out in Africa. What are you pointing to? The Inuit Eskimos. Who are you pointing to with your high protein, low carb diet? Who are you referencing? Who are you modeling? That's what I always want to know. Just Jade says, do you dislike keto because it's unsustainable or nutritionally lacking? I think keto is just a very strange. I get it. I get overreactions to things, so I understand. But I think that keto is a diet that was created to help epileptics. So keto had nothing to even do with weight loss initially, and it was created to help epileptics. And I think nutritionally it's lacking. I think it's very strange to just eat protein. I think it's really fucking weird. And I don't know what society people are looking at to model. Again, I really don't know who eats high protein diets, because high protein diets are really unsustainable and expensive. So you need, I guess you need capitalism and modern technology to follow a high protein diet, because without that, you don't have access to that much protein. So it's weird right off the bat. And unsustainable, yeah, that's the other piece. So it's like I don't like it. I don't like keto for a bunch of reasons. I think it's unsustainable for most people. I think it reduces most people's quality of life, even if you lose weight. You tell me, folks. I know all of you have done keto. I know everyone here has done keto at some point. Why'd you stop? Well, you don't like losing weight? Why'd you stop? What? You're tired of feeling like a dipshit at birthdays and you're the only can't eat cake or pizza because you can't eat any carbs? I eat carbs all the time. Now, I don't eat a lot of refined carbs. I get it. And again, I understand the keto diet and I understand paleo and all that shit as a diet philosophy, because we live in America, the number one source of calories is baked goods. So I get it. You you live in a society where the number one source is baked goods. Why not make a diet that's going to completely eliminate baked goods? And by the way, the next 5 calorie sources are all, carb centric, refined carb centric. So yeah, again, I'm all for reducing flour and refined carbs. Sure. But the idea that you're going to, the second you start removing vegetables and fruit from your diet, you should fucking take a step back and think about what you're doing. We've been eating fruits for millions of years on Earth. It's just very strange. But I understand it, because what happens with weight loss, and especially, weight loss marketing, is that people get desperate, and desperate people will buy into anything. And there you go. You know what I mean? That's how we have carnivore diets now. But so yeah, any diet that's cutting back on fruits and vegetables, I'm always, that's my first red flag. What's up, Don? How's it going? Yeah, health expert, Okinawa, Japan. Yeah, that was one of the places that they studied in the blue zones, But they're all the same. But listen, by the way, the blue zone's are the top 5 places in the world where they had the highest percentage of people getting to 100 years old. They studied them. But never mind the top 5. How about the top 100 of the healthiest populations? And you're pretty much you're going to be hard pressed to find a high protein diet like we're talking about in America in 2025. A high protein diet like we have in America is a very difficult diet to live anywhere other than America. It's very expensive. It's very energy intensive. And on top of that, I don't think it's very good for you over time. Oh, because you lost some weight for the first month you're on it. Who gives a shit? Who cares how much fucking weight you lose in a month on a diet? I don't understand your obsession with that, people, because it's like, what do you want to do? Just lose weight for a month and then go back to being overweight? Is that your goal? Just to lose weight for a little bit so you could say you did it? Or would you like to keep the weight off? So I don't understand this obsession with rapid weight loss, because, it's leading you down the wrong path. Have you even figured that out? Jesus Christ. We've had keto-esque diets for 30 years now. What do you think? The next time you try, it's going to be different for you? Oh, God. This is so weird. Sister Tay, high protein, no carb reduces appetite, but not sustainable for a long time. Yeah, exactly. If it doesn't work for a long time, what are you doing, folks? Unless again, if you got a photo shoot coming up or you got some special occasion you just want to be thin for, and then you don't give a shit, then I say run straight to a keto diet. Run straight to any diet, practically. Okay. But if we're talking, if you'd actually like to live at your goal way for the rest of your life, miss me with all these diets. None of them work. None of them. Think about it. It's been over 100 years of dieting. What do you think's the best diet? What do you think's the most successful diet for long-term success? Good luck. You can pick Weight Watchers, fine. I'll give you Weight Watchers and Slimming World because they have the meeting component to it, which makes it useful. Fine. But other than that, there's no diet. There's not even one single diet that rises to the top because they all suck. That none of them work long term, which doesn't mean I'm not. Listen, I love vegetarianism. I love pescatarianism. But if you're going to pop into that like a diet, it ain't going to work either. So I'm not even judging the nutritional philosophy. I think keto's fucking goofy because I think the only reason you're eating keto is to lose weight. You're not eating keto because you feel amazing on it, so, but I don't know. Yeah. Vicky. Oh, Vicky never did keto. All right. Yeah. Never did keto, but eat a lot of protein. I mean, people eat a lot of protein. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. It's just pumped down your throats that if you want to lose weight, if you want to be healthy, you got to eat lots of protein. I don't buy into that because I think that there's a lot of money being made off of selling protein. And I think that money trickles down into books, diet programs, podcasts, influencers, all that shit funnels down. Because I can tell you, I mean, like, there's so much money to be made from offering protein supplements, protein powders, protein delivery services, all this shit. You know what I mean? It's easy work if you want to make money off of that. There's tons and tons of money off of it. So I think that informs the concept of eating so much protein, but to each their own, that too, you know what I mean? I don't give a shit. Eat as much protein as you want, but I just think it's an odd choice. It's very weird to me, but I'm a pescatarian, pretty much a vegetarian, pretty much a vegan. So, obviously I'm built different, so I'm not knocking that. I think there's people out there that thrive eating. And by the way, I'm not saying don't eat meat. I don't care if you eat meat or not. And I think you can eat meat and be, I don't know, be really healthy, but I think when you eat lots of meat, I would never do that to myself. I in no way think eating lots and lots of meat is going to be a net benefit for your health over the long term. No part of me thinks that. So, but we can agree to disagree. Great minds can disagree. Sister J says, I've known folks who could only lose weight on meat only, but they often gain it back. Yeah. Again, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying though. Like when we say things like I can only lose weight when I do keto. Okay. Compared to what? What else have you done? Well, I tried Weight Watchers and I tried counting calories and I tried this and I tried that and I tried that. Okay. So did you ever try dealing with your mindset? Did you ever try shifting your lifestyle? Did you ever try figuring out an eating plan that really resonates with you, that's lower calories, that, was easy and comfortable for you? No, because you've only tried diets. You know what I mean? Again, that's the only thing that's been put in front of you. I don't blame you. But again, to the point, people think that eating protein is the number one way to manage your appetite. Would you be surprised to find out that's not true? The number one way to manage your appetite is to eat more whole natural fiber. That's going to do a lot more for you than even the protein. And protein does help with appetite. Absolutely. Fiber even more. And you never hear about fiber. So again, we don't live in a world where like perfect information comes to you. You live in a curated world where things that make people money are what you hear about. And so you hear about diets, you hear about eating lots of protein. You don't hear about shifting your mindset to think like a thin, healthy person. You don't hear about eating whole natural fiber to reduce your appetite because there's not the money being made off of fruits and vegetables that there is being made off of meat and protein. So that's how I see it. So people that think they can only lose weight on meat just don't even know what they're talking about in my world, because I could help them now again, if they want to do it or not, everyone's got to pick what they want to do, but you certainly don't need to only eat meat to lose weight. I can tell you that. And they often gain it back because no one wants to do it. So that is true. All right, Mandy likes it. He says, amen. Say it louder for those in the back, right? I do. I say this every day. I'm always picking on keto, and let it be known, right? I'm like, no, I don't want to go that far, but never mind what I was going to say. But I love the keto dieter and I hate the keto diet. Okay. So please understand that I'm shit talking the diet, not you. All right. I'm here every day because literally I do care about you and I want you to have better results with your health, your happiness, your weight, all those things. And I think that, the traditional diets are not the way to do that, is what I think. And keto's right at the top of the list. Chalanga says, so if we control what we feel, we can control what we eat. Yeah, to a degree. I mean, again, it's never one thing. And that's, again, another thing that diets have taught you is that you just need to change one thing to change your weight, right? Stop eating carbs, you'll lose the weight. Just count your points, you'll lose the weight. You need a comprehensive, holistic strategy. So yes, you need to be able to influence how you feel. But in order to do that, you need to be able to influence what you're thinking. You need to be able to influence your lifestyle to support what you're thinking and feeling regularly. You need to influence what you're eating in order to influence all those things as well. So they all work together as kind of a symbiotic unit, so nothing exists by itself. Your eating doesn't exist on an island. Your feelings don't exist on an island. Your thoughts don't exist on an island. They all are interfacing together and influencing each other. So you would want to control your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors. That's how you create the long-term changes. And if you do that strategically, it's not really rocket science. Jesus. Leg hurts. I whip myself. What did I whip myself with the other day? I can't remember. God, it hurts so much. It hurts so much when I did it, and it's killing me today, and I forgot why. It's not even a bruise there. It really hurt, though. Anyways, Don says, the minute I accepted food intake diet needs to be a balanced life got easier. Yeah, Don's been at this for a while. So she's a great example of really kind of, changing her eating in a way that works for her, as opposed to do this knee-jerk kind of diet thing. Vicky says, I'm 80% pescatarian, 20% chicken, turkey, rarely red meat. Yeah, I'm a pescatarian. And I really very little fish now, but I guess the main point, here's what I'm trying to say too, though, is that there's so much, they influence you in a million different ways. But when it comes to protein, they'll have you think if you're not eating tons of protein, that your bones are you're just going to crack in half or fade into dust one day. I don't know if I look like I'm fading into dust. I don't know what I look like, but I eat a low protein diet. And I don't know, do I seem like I'm about to fall apart? I don't know. Maybe I do, and I know there are people that look at me and say, I don't look like that. You string bean, skinny fat. I don't want to be that. I want to be great. I mean, there's vegan bodybuilders too, but whatever, but again, they really do pump this shit in your head that if you're not, filling yourself full of protein, you're just going to crumble into dust. And it's bullshit. That is bullshit. How do I know? Because pretty much every society on earth has subsisted off of low protein diets. I don't see them crumbling into they live a long time and they have a great quality of life while they're alive. So again, bunch of bullshit. Yeah, lots of fruits and vegetables. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that, I don't think. Occasionally too much ice cream gelato, but working on managing. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, ice cream gelato. And we all got that, right, Vicky? I mean, it's like I'm always managing certain things, some things, it's just how it is too. Someone asked me yesterday, like, oh, what about 28 days to install a habit? I was like, that's bullshit. There's no one specific number a day and then you're going to have a habit. Easy life would be if that was true. I've spent years, I don't want to say years, but maybe, but I mean, I've spent months and months and months on a habit. It hasn't installed as a habit. So again, there's just no simple answers in anything, But yeah, same with me. I mean, most of my stuff's pretty much on autopilot, but there's certain things I have to kind of manage. Wine, beer, for sure. Desserts, cookies, bullshit, snacking. I manage those things. So it's never a complete autopilot. You know what I mean? We want to get mostly near autopilot and program yourself then. But I always say this too, metaphorically, managing your weight, living at your goal weight is kind of like surfing. It's not dieting. The diet industry would make you think that like you get to your goal weight and then you're just going to be there forever. Like it's over. You did it. Great. It's bullshit. You get to your goal weight, then you got to kind of manage it. And then things are always changing. You might change jobs, you might change partners, you might change where you live. There's a bunch of things that change in life that make managing your weight, you got to address them, deal with them and whatever. So we're always, kind of managing what we're doing. I always think like a garden, right? When you first set up a garden, it's labor intensive on the front end. And then it becomes easier, as you move forward with it, it's more maintenance. And so I think of living at your goal weight kind of like that. It's more energy and focus in the front end. And then it becomes much more automated. and that's how I look at it. I mean, most of my mindset, lifestyle, and eating things are mostly automated. So I don't have to think about everything I'm going to eat and what I'm going to do. Most of it's automated, and that frees up a lot of mental energy for me to deal with the things that are extra challenging, and doing new things. What's up, Floor? Currently in Rome. That's cool. There's a house in Rome. I've never been to Rome. I'd like to go to Rome. That'd be cool. Yeah. Ongoing nurture the seeds we planted. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Started late today. I'm going to end it now, though. So thank you so much. Great. I appreciate the comments, the questions. Appreciate that. Sorry I was a little bit late today. If you're not in my world, make sure you click the link in my bio. Go get the free hypnosis session I give you. It's free. Okay. I don't know what else I can do. It's a 10-minute session I created called The New Thin Me. It is a kickstart session. So it's built to get you fired up and excited. And all you have to do is listen to it and then notice your behaviors throughout the day. Right? Again, it's free. Just click the link in my bio or go to programyourselfthin.com and go get that. There's also a training I made for you. That's free. And I send you a bunch of free stuff in the email and stuff. So all of that. So, and then also this year, I'm here every day, Monday through Friday. It was around noon Eastern, between noon and 12:30. Got a little late today, but that's okay. And so if you want to get on here and ask any questions, please get on here and ask me. I'm here to help you. And if you miss it and like listening to it, though, it's also a podcast. So it's Program Yourself Thin. It's on all the podcast platforms. You can check that out. Yeah. Because it says see you at noon Pacific. That's right. Yes. In the program, we have Tuesday classes, Q&A calls every Tuesday. Jojo says, can you hire me, Jim? I'm your biggest advocate. Well, thank you, Jojo. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. You're the best. Thank you, Chilanga. I appreciate all that. Thank you. That's what I'm here for. So thanks, everyone. Have a super duper day, and we'll talk soon. Bye, everyone.